Hey, I'm Xander Mittman. I'm the product manager for Lightning Console, now called Navigation Experience, and we look at productivity across all of Salesforce. I like to use the analogy that we're the city planners for Salesforce, and we try to figure out how do we places for people to build useful content and make it easy and usable for people to get their jobs done. So I'll give you a little demo, show you what I mean. I'm recording in an airport because I'm just coming back from a customer visit, and I've shown these tips and tricks to basically anybody who will listen, and to figure if I do it enough, I should probably just record a video. So yeah, hopefully in 2 minutes or less, you'll find something that's useful about it. All right, so I'll share my screen here. Okay, so this is just a demo org. This is showing summer 19 release. So one change you'll notice is that the utility bar buttons are now on the right. This is great because now if I pop up my list view here and I'm using, or pop up the utility and looking at the list view, it's less likely to obscure the most important stuff. Usually the most important columns are on the left side. So now it's less likely to do that. But more importantly, pop out utilities. This was GA in spring 19. So here's the list view utility. So I can pop that out. That's for example, or I can have my soft phone. If I wanted to log in, could do that. I've got my live soft phone. This is 5.9, but it could be any open CPI partner. I'll just go online. This is great if I'm getting inbound calls or making outbound calls. I can have my phone just off on the second monitor. And pop that out. Great. Okay, so now I could get phone calls. Pop that up, my second monitor. I'm only on just my laptop, so I'm not going to do that now, but that's the gist. Okay, and so here's some basic things. So generally, you can think of Salesforce Lightning Console having two parts. So one is the left region, which is driven by the navigation item up here. So you can have different list views, you can have dashboards, reports, they all go in the left region. But the most common scenario is list views. So let's say I have a contact here. If I open one up, instead of replacing the content here, it opens what's called a workspace tab here and subtabs. So here's an example of navigation rules. This is another feature that the admin can configure and set up declaratively. So it opens the case, and it's configured to open as a subtab of the account. Because often you want to see the context of the full account along with the case. So there, it's handy, one click. The user doesn't have to do it manually. We see a lot of admins turn this on by default for their users because it saves them time. Now, another really nice thing is split view. So here, if I want to see both of them side by side, I can go to split view. Here, for example, let's say I want to look at cases. So here, a useful trick is to open them while holding down Command. First I'll show you what happens if I don't hold down Command. So if I click one here, it opens it and sets focus on it. But if I can just hold down the Command key, or Control on a PC, I can open a couple of them, and they'll open in the background without bringing the focus to them. So that way I can sort of load up a batch of work and then click through and open them. Another thing here, I'll talk about keyboard shortcuts. So right now you can see the focus is up here on the workspace tab because I click on it. If I want to move my focus back to the left and just do everything with the keyboard, I can hit G and then L, and now my focus is there. And now I can move the keyboard up and down, and I can hit Enter, and it opens that up. And now you can see my focus is on the subtab there, which shows 1008. I can do GW to move the focus back up to the workspace tabs and use my left and right keys to go back and forth. And now if I'm on one where I want to jump back down to the subtabs, I can do GS for go to subtab, and now I can move back and forth there. And then back to GL, I can do GU to go to the utility bar, and I can move back and forth on the utility bar. So that's useful. And so another thing about a lot of people don't know about is keyboard shortcuts at all. So you can get to them just by clicking around the user interface. So first click on the question mark for Salesforce Help, and click View Keyboard Shortcuts. So the ones I was just showing you there are the go-to commands, go to list search, list view, publisher, if you're on the record page itself, subtab, and so on. And then one that we only have a keyboard shortcut for right now is close all tabs. So I'll show you what that looks like. So right here, if I just do Shift W, it will prompt me to close all tabs. And this is great because it won't, or we design it so it won't close your pinned tabs. I'll show you what those look like in a second. I can hit close all. And if you happen to have any records that you're in the middle of editing, it won't disrupt your, or it will prompt you to save your changes whether you want to save them or not. Okay, so a couple other things here I want to show, which are maybe more advanced features. So one is, you'll notice I have home here open as a workspace tab. But you'll see if most admins, when you do add it as a navigation item, it opens in what we call the left region. So you see I have the same thing open here twice, one as a navigation item, one as a workspace tab. So the first thing is that anything in the navigation menu can be opened as a workspace tab. This is really powerful because, especially if we're working multiple list views. So let's say I'm a service agent and I work multiple. I typically work off 2 or 3 different list views. I would have to be constantly switching back and forth between my cases, all open cases, what have you. So this maybe, it's only a click and takes a couple seconds to load, but every second adds up over the course of the day. So here's a power user trick. You can hold down the Control key on a PC or a Command key on a Mac, and it opens as a workspace tab. So I can now have this as all open cases. That's great. So now I can have my cases here and all open cases here and jump back and forth. But again, using your left and right, but left and right only works to go between workspace tabs. So you can, you're not limited to just having one list view open there. I can do cases open again. So now I have my cases and all open cases. And let's say maybe service agents are only working cases, but what if you're a small business owner and you're using essentials? You could be using opportunities. So same thing, you can open opportunities. So now you have cases, my cases, and opportunities. But now these are taking up a lot of real estate on your tab bar. So one thing you can do is pin your tabs, and especially if you're going to be using these all the time, now they are always here. Even if you do Shift W, it would only close your record tabs. They won't close pin tabs. But now you have this problem that, well, I have 2 case list views, my cases and all open cases, but they have the same briefcase icon. So a good trick is to customize tab, but you can change it from to anything, and just pick anything that means something to you, right? It doesn't really matter what it is. So now you can just build your visual memory about which one means what and easily go between them. And again, left and right. And then another great one is Shift R. Shift R refreshes just the contents of that workspace tab. So now if I were to refresh the whole browser, for example, right, I might have to wait 4 seconds before everything's loaded and it takes my focus back to default. If I just want to always have the latest list view, you can just do keyboard shortcut to move around, and then Shift R to refresh that. Or you can also do it from the menu here, refresh tab. So one thing to note about is if you do open a list view in a workspace tab, is that when you click a record, it opens as a sub tab, not as a workspace tab, because you're opening it from a workspace tab. It's following the normal rules. That might be fine if you don't need to drill down into this one to be effective. But let's say you do need to do that and you want to stay a little more organized. You can do it just a little bit more manually by going into the subtab menu and selecting Set as Workspace tab. So now it moves back up to the top, and you're kind of right back to your typical console view. And then if you click something else, it opens as subtabs and everything stays nice and organized. So again, you can do Shift W, start over. There you'll see it didn't prompt me to open it because I only had 2, or I had fewer than 2 workspace tabs open that weren't pinned. So in that case, we don't prompt the user to get to it. If for some reason you did close something and you want to get back to it, you can always go back to your history and pull it out of there. The other thing I'll show here, we're talking about home, that we've heard a lot of people say, I want home to always be available to my users. So here I created a background utility and opened home, and you'll notice that there's no way to close it. The user cannot close or remove the home tab. You can close a pin tab, but you cannot close this. And I did that through a background utility using the disableTabClose JavaScript API. And that looks like this. I did not write this, but I got help from my engineering team to use workspace API.disableTabClose and call it for essentially opened the home page ref on that workspace tab the first time they uploaded, and then disable tab close. So now that's always there for my users. You do want to be careful about how you implement that, because maybe all your users don't want home there all the time. But if you do want it, that's an option. We have a powerful set of APIs across the whole platform to open tabs, close tabs, open utility, close utility. Probably have about 30 APIs and events to do different things. With that, I think that covers most of the basics. And I think we did talk about pop-out utilities a little bit, but one thing that can be really powerful, I've heard this described as a remote control for Salesforce. I think we'll look for a lot more of this in the future. Is here, for example, the list views utility. This is open to a list of accounts. So I can have this open and click it here, and it opens it as a workspace tab back in the parent window. I can send it back to the background, work on it, and then if I want to bring it back to the foreground, I just click on the utility, which shows that it's popped out, brings it back to the foreground, click on something else, and it will open that. So very powerful with pop-out utilities. So just a couple tricks especially for power users or people who are in Salesforce a lot. And I also want to talk about the Lightning Console Chrome extension. So, all right, in this case, I will copy the URL out for this case, or for this contact, just to demonstrate it. So let's say I have that link, and maybe this is in an email or a Slack message or something like that. So here I have the Console Chrome extension. I just turned it on. You can see it, Lightning Console extension. This is in pilot now, planning to GA it in the summer 19 timeframe. Sorry, correction, the winter 20 timeframe. So let's say this is the URL. So I click that, and you'll see it opened. You want to replay this video in slow motion, you'll see it open a Chrome tab very momentarily, but then it reopens it as a workspace tab in my existing console instance. So this means if I am just clicking around on links, I will never have more than one Salesforce Lightning Console tab. So it's just a great way to stay organized if you don't want to open lots of different windows. So I'll just take a quick tour of App Manager just to show you what some of those things are that we were looking at and what you can do there to set that up. This is set up for the app that I just opened. If I go to utility items, this was the background utility that I wrote for home open. This is the list view utility, which I had set to accounts and to a certain list view. Navigation rules are configured here under cases, open as a sub-tab of the account, and it can be any other object that has a lookup relationship to. So with that, those are some power user tricks for Lightning Console, and look for more in the future. Thanks for watching.